Hmm. God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on. What flavor is this?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 10 of Tomorrow's Fights podcast. We are a mixed martial arts podcast previewing UFC 222 tonight. I'm your host, Matthew Catalano. With me, as always, the man in the white room from the Northeast. How's it going, Matt Smith?
Pretty good. What's up, everyone?
And returning our third panelist in the booth, I want to officially welcome Branscombe to the team.
Hey, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers, fellas.
I also need to give a big congratulations to Branscombe for getting a gold medal in IBJJF Atlanta in the purple belt division.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Dude, that's dope.
Everybody, including you, helped out getting me ready for that, and I appreciate everybody's hard work.
Well, I'm honored to be a part of that. All right, so we're here to talk about UFC 222. Kind of a goofy pay-per-view following up 221, which received a lot of criticism. So before we give our initial thoughts, let's just go through the updates to the card. Obviously, this was supposed to be Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar for the 145-pound belt. Max Holloway was injured, so the UFC started scrambling 4 weeks out for a main event. There were a lot of different rumors whether they were going to do an interim belt with Brian Ortega and Frankie Edgar. That never seemed like a real option. They were fumbling around with a lot of different events. There was rumors of the Conor McGregor thing, which we'll get to on the final segment of the podcast. But what they came up with was Cyborg versus Kunitskaya for the 145-pound women's featherweight belt. And then in the co-main event, they slid Edgar and Ortega in there. So remember, Edgar was in full camp for the Holloway fight. Brian Ortega comes in a bit late notice, about a 4-week camp for him. So here we stand with the main card is Cyborg, Kunitskaya, co-main event, Frankie Edgar, Brian Ortega, which is a nice number one contender spot match, followed by Stefan Struve, Andre Arvloski, Sean O'Malley, Andre Soukhamthath, which not really a pay-per-view caliber fight, but a fun fight. And then the return of Cat Zingano versus Ketlin Vieira, undefeated prospect. So, okay, thoughts on the card?
Worst card of the year. I know. I mean, we've got Struve, Arvloski. This is main event stuff here. Struve, Arvloski, O'Malley, whatever. And then you know our main event of the evening is Cyborg versus someone who's never been in the UFC again.
It's sad that there's actually fights on the prelims that are better than the main card.
Yeah, and
like way better actually.
I don't understand.
I actually don't think it's as bad as you're making it out to be, though. I'm actually looking forward to Edgar and Ortega. I think that's gonna be a badass fight. So even O'Malley, dude,
that's the whole
O'Malley's
card
fight's
for
gonna
me.
be awesome.
Well, so let me ask you this. Would you rather them just throw up an interim belt for Edgar and Ortega and make it 5 rounds? Would you have rather had that?
Or let me watch it for free? I mean, so that's what I want. I'm not mad at the card itself, but I don't think. What do they say? Is this one still $65?
Yeah, it's whatever the routine price is now. $65 for HD, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, and there were rumors of them making it a fight night card, right? So,
but like Smith said, I mean, there are some interesting fights on the card. I'm not upset with that. I'm just upset that it's going to cost $65 to watch it.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, the only problem I have with this fight this card is I don't like the main event. You guys know how I feel about Cyborg fighting bantamweights. I don't care, and I don't want to see it. The only bantamweight I want to see Cyborg fight is Amanda Nunes. That's it. Mm-hmm. Anything else, and I'm not interested. I'll forgive this main event just a little bit because it was last minute. But I mean, it's so uncompetitive. You have essentially Kunitskaya, who is, yes, she's the Invicta 135-pound champ, but only because Tanya Evinger left, and Tanya Evinger was only that champion because Cyborg left. So, I mean, she's almost champion by attrition. She did win her last fight, but I mean, have you seen the odds for that main event? Or we'll get to that later. But
I think it was
stacked.
last I saw it. It was a 17-1 for Cyborg to win,
and
minus 1650. That's what I've got.
Some sites are up to 2,000.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So,
you know what? You might as well throw money down on the other girl. Though.
Yeah, because it's 11-1 shot on that one. That's $20 down on that thing, and you
might as well put money down. Because what if something crazy happens?
It's not a value bet if she has no chance.
I still would take those odds, dude. I really would, man. Just throw down $100. Who cares? You can really
I think she has zero chance because I'm looking at the official UFC page here for the fight, and it shows she's got zero reach and zero leg reach.
Is she open-minded?
Yeah. She literally has no reach whatsoever.
Okay, so one more thing, though. You really think this is worse than 221? I felt like 221 was worse.
Refresh my memory. What all was on 221?
Let's go back to 221 real quick. Hold on. Okay, so 221 was Rockhold Romero, great main event. But then here's the rest of the pay-per-view. The rest of the pay-per-view is Curtis Blades, Mark Hunt. Okay. Tai Tuivasa, Cyril Askar, essentially unknown prelim fighters. Jake Matthews, Li Jinglang, maybe Fight Night main card fighters. Tyson Pedro versus Saperbek Safarov. I mean, three of the fights are prelim.
I only got one. Wait, did I get one right? I think I got one right?
I mean, those were pick'em fights, or some of them were.
I'm going to be honest. I watched that entire card, and I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
And it was on a Sunday night when I watched it.
Oh,
no beer in me or anything. I don't remember any of that card. So maybe that one was worse than this one.
Yeah, I just at least 222 is packed with like some fun, weird fights. Like everything on the card is either fun or weird, or I care a little bit about, even if it's like a weird, freaky fight. Like, dude, Hector Lombard, CB Dalloway. What's gonna happen there? Like, how Hector Lombard is on like a 4-fight losing streak, dude. He's 40. Like, is he still gonna go in there and just blow somebody's doors off, or is he gonna get beat by CB Dalloway? Like, that's a weird fight. There's a bunch of goofy
these are
things
kind of
like
cool fights too for the prelims.
Right. Then you got Don Dodson, Pedro Munez. That's a great fight.
Yep.
Okay, speaking of prelims, let's jump right in. So we'll jump right into our first segment on the prelims. Quick disclaimer, in the interest of time, we're not going to go through every single prelim, but we are going to pick our most intriguing fight of the night on the prelims. That's the fight we're most interested in on the undercard. We're going to pick our breakout fighter of the prelims. That's someone we think with a win could go on to do big things, maybe become a star. And then finally, our pink slip fighter of the night, which we can extend this to the main card if it applies. That's somebody who may be fighting for their job. All right, so let's get the easy one out of the way. Well, what I think is the easy one. Breakout fighter of the prelims. And I'm going to go straight to Mackenzie Dern here, who's making her debut. And she's headlining the Fox Sports 1 preliminary card. For those of you who don't know, Mackenzie Dern is world champion Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I think she's only 24, 25 at this point. She's 5-0 in MMA. And when I say world champion, she is legit. I mean, I think she's fought Gabby Garcia to a draw, or even beat Gabby Garcia, who outweighs her by, 100 pounds, would you say? Maybe 70, 80 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So Mackenzie Dern just tore up the competitive scene and then started mixed martial arts. And she's so young. It's insane. And, of course, she's attractive. So if she starts winning, the UFC is going to push her so fast. I just hope we don't have another Paige Van Zandt issue where she just pushed too fast, never really properly develops, and then kind of stumbles her way through a win-loss type of deal. So,
Yeah, that would also be mine. And she's not just a IBJJF world champion. I believe she also has an ADCC title. She's, like you said, her bona fides are all over the place. So that's my pick as well. She's got the look. She's definitely got the grappling chops. I've seen, all of her fights leading up to this. She definitely has some ground to cover, catching up with the striking. What are we fighting at this? 115 pounds. There are some questions on whether or not she can make that weight reliably. So, we've got questions, and hopefully this fight will be, the start of getting all the answers to it.
I think it's interesting too that she's fighting at 115 because, like you said, she's missed that weight before and she's fought at the catch weight, and she was trying to fight at 115 before the UFC opened the flyweight division, 125. So I wonder if we'll see her sort of give up on that and just go to flyweight, which is just wide fucking open right now. But I don't know. I mean, if she can make strawweight, that's great. I mean, joining the UFC right now, would you say Mackenzie Dern has the best jiu-jitsu in the UFC? Female jiu-jitsu? I would say absolutely, right?
Right.
She'd be next to Gedalia and... I mean,
I don't think there's anybody's close. No.
Not even Gedalia is close. I mean, she's got a good top game in wrestling, but yeah, she would right away. She's number one, which, I mean, that's always really fun to think about,
Mm-hmm.
All right, Smith, who's yours? Breakout fighter of the prelims.
I would agree with that assessment, that whole thing. I want to go right to the pink slip, if you don't mind, though.
All right, good transition. Who you got?
I'm pretty sure if Lombard wasn't on here, it would actually be Ashley Yoder.
Yeah. I just don't know if the UFC is going to cut Lombard. And maybe if they're paying him too much, this might be it for him. So Lombard is not going to.
They're also not going to cut a 115-pound female either. I mean, how many do they have on the roster?
Yeah, but that's 20? Pretty bad, dude. When you get in the UFC in your first 3 fights, if she loses this, she'll have 3 fights losses, and that's it in the UFC.
I mean, what if she says, "Fuck it, I'll go up to 125"? Then they'll let her stay. But
yeah, it's just weird. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? Just have her as like a gatekeeper into the UFC? Like,
yeah, I mean, they do need people like that, but not ones that are on 3-fight losing streaks. Now, do you think they'll cut Hector Lombard though?
I mean,
he's got some losses, bro.
This would be the fourth. This would be the 4th loss in a row, right? No, 5th.
Actually, this would be 5th. Yeah, if you
5th.
Yeah. And I mean, Neil Magny, was the start of the skid. That's not a bad loss right there. Dan Henderson, he could arguably say that's not a bad loss.
Johnny Hendricks.
How could you lose to Johnny Hendricks?
The ghost of Johnny Hendricks.
Anthony Smith. I'm not even remembering who that is. I mean,
all you got to do is go to Johnny Hendricks's Wikipedia and look at the losing streak he's on. It's all red except for one name. Hector Lombard is the only guy he's beat.
I do remember this Anthony Smith fight.
He's a big dude. He's going up to 205. But still, I mean, the problem with Lombard is he just doesn't have his game anymore. Like he used to go in there and just like blow people apart. But he had the cardio to last a couple rounds if he needed to, and that is gone. That's gone. He doesn't have that anymore.
What are you saying? I don't know what you're saying. I feel like you're saying something. I'm just not catching what you're saying. That after the last 2 years, when
you're older, your cardio goes.
What is change? Oh, okay. It's his age. That's what it is.
He's 40, man.
And he just might not have the testosterone, is what you're saying, that he used to have.
Or maybe he just doesn't drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem with Lombard is like you see where he doesn't know what his game plan should be, and so he's so worried about gassing out that he's not as aggressive as he used to be. So he starts giving away rounds, and he ends up losing because you never see those traditional Lombard blitzes anymore because he's so afraid of gassing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like the problem was you were so successful because that's what made you good. And now he's thrown that away because he's so afraid of gassing out that he just doesn't generate enough offense to win rounds or finish fights. And this is what you get. You just get a guy who will lose decisions or get TKO'd from the bottom in grappling exchanges. And I mean, I don't know if there's room on the roster for that type of Hector Lombard who isn't even exciting anymore. So I think.
Or KO'd by 60-year-old men with crazy elbows that he didn't see coming.
Yeah, I mean, at
Oof.
least he was winning that fight, but yeah, that was bad.
Oh.
If the UFC is paying him anything incredible, I think they let him go with this. So even though Ashley Yoder, she could get cut too, it could be a double, but my pick's got to be Hector Lombard. This is just, he's fallen too far down the mountain, and I don't think he's even got that spark of name value left that equates to the salary he's making. So
I would agree with that, mainly because I bet you he's making more money than Yoder is. And
well, you bet.
Yeah, I'm imagining Yoder's getting like 15 to show, 15 to win or something. That's 100. She's probably going to make more off of her Reebok deal than she is off of her actual pay.
Yeah, that's just insane.
Yeah.
Wait, is that for real?
All right. Well, let's move right along to our most intriguing prelim fight of the night. Which fight on the undercard are you looking forward to the most? There actually are a lot of decent fights here. Even the Fight Pass prelims are kind of interesting. A couple undefeated guys on there. So, Branscombe, what's your pick?
I hate to do it, but I still want to see Dern. I want to see her on the big stage. I want to see that. That's the most intriguing to me. If you're gonna make me pick another one, I'd like to see that Dalloway Lombard fight. I just want to see what's gonna happen. Dalloway's that's one of those pick'em fights, so that'd be intriguing to me.
I think it's just so funny because 5 years ago, if they announced that fight, it would have been like a gimme fight for Hector Lombard. It would have been like, oh, what did CB Dalloway do to you, Joe Silva? But now, Lombard is so broken that I'm sure CB Dalloway might be the favorite, or at least it's pick him up. It's just crazy how downhill he went,
Dodson and Dariush, both of those guys can make a fight out of either one of those fights. Dodson's always entertaining to watch. And on the UFC, on the early prelims, Mike Pyle's a great show up, and Caraway too. So
I think that's actually Mike Pyle's retirement fight. Or
really?
Or Zach Gatto. I can't remember, but one of the two are retiring, and Mike Pyle's been around forever. So.
Yeah.
Smith, what's your pick?
It's got to be Dotson and Pedro. I kind of like watching the smaller guys now because I don't know, they got the cardio and they're always jumping around and doing crazy shit. So.
Yeah, they're always working. I was actually going to pick that too. I was going to pick Dotson versus Muniz. Pedro Muniz is so funny. Maybe it's Munoz, maybe. But it seems like he's always losing just until he gets a guillotine. It's hilarious. You look at his record. I think he's got to have maybe the most guillotines in the UFC. I don't know. I mean, but I don't think Dotson's going to be shooting for takedowns with him. So I like Dotson to pick up a clean and tidy 30-27 there. But I'll be watching.
I would say at one point Dotson might have been one of the most freakish athletes in the UFC. I mean, he's super fast, powerful for his size. I mean, he was faster than Mighty Mouse was. Yeah. And had bombs in his hands. Put TJ out, Yeah. A green TJ, but nonetheless an accomplishment. Yeah, because TJ, even back then, green as he was, is game, Remember when he was just like a top game wrestler back then? He didn't have any striking at all. It's crazy to see what he developed. I mean, it's just incredible. Anyways, okay. Anything else on the prelims before we move on? Nope. That's about it for me. All right, let's move on to the main card. This is on pay-per-view Saturday night at 10 o'clock. The first fight is Kat Zingano versus Ketlin Vieira at women's bantamweight. Branscombe, why don't you open us up with this one? I mean, other than her record, Ketlin Vieira, I don't remember seeing her. She arm triangled Sarah McMahon. It was hilarious. From the wrong side half guard. I can't hate on Sarah McMahon. She's from my home state, here in South Carolina. She's just been on a tough skid. She lost again this past weekend. I was there. I watched her get triangled while not defending it. Yeah, that's brutal. I got a call for Kat. I mean, if she's got her head on tight, I mean, she brutalized the current bantamweight champion, and we'll see. Yeah, that's my pick for this one is Cat
All
Zingano.
right. One pick for Kat Zingano in the bag. Smith, do you deviate, or are you going to concur with
I actually think Ketlin's got
Kat?
it, dude. And I'll explain why here. Kat Zingano, what'd she lose? Her last 2 fights? Looks that way, right?
She lost to Jessica Pena, or sorry, what's that girl's name?
Juliana Pena and Ronda
Juliana
Rousey.
Pena, and then the Ronda Rousey loss.
I actually
She's
saw
been
that
very
Ronda fight out in California.
Oh, that was the Ronda fight you
Oh.
saw in California?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, that was 14 seconds, right?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
worth the money,
sucks.
right?
All right.
No, but here's the thing. She's lost now to 2 people that are good at like either judo and jiu-jitsu, and Juliana Pena now she's good at wrestling. So I think with this girl's background, she has the tools to actually take out Kat Zingano. Just based on who Kat Zingano's lost to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Cat Zingano also beat Misha Tate, who is a stellar grappler, and she beat Amanda Nunez, who I believe is a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
She is. Yep. This fight is hard to pick because if you tell me that
honestly beat Amanda Nunes like today though.
I mean,
I don't
dude,
know.
the losses came after a very, troubled time in her life. I
Right.
don't remember if she. I think she's still with the same team though.
Because at this point it's like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, but would be remiss not to mention the adversity that Kat Zingano has faced. Her husband committed suicide in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Just can't even begin to empathize with what she was going through to get over that. I mean, I'm hoping that she finds some therapy in fighting. She still continues to fight, but you got to ask the question of where her head's at mentally. I mean, just in terms of breaking down a fight that is both physical and mental. So, I mean, if you tell me that the Kat Zingano that fought Amanda Nunez shows up, picking her all day. But she's 35 now, and she really banked on her athleticism a lot. I mean, if you go back and watch that Amanda Nunez fights, she's taken her down with like those front headlock guillotine guard pulls. Is there a name for that, Branscombe? You roll back into the guillotine, but you go so far that you go into mount.
Yeah, she was. I don't know if you would call that anything good in wrestling because nobody would do it on purpose. But yeah, she did it multiple times in that fight.
Right. Yeah.
Reached over the shoulders,
yes.
Locked hands underneath at the chest, and then just
Right. It's like you're going for a guillotine,
suplex,
but you fall so far backwards that you just wind up in mount. I mean,
right.
And she did that numerous times. But again, that fight's 4 years ago.
Yeah, kind of a cement mixer.
Dude, I actually kind of got worried when Kat Zingano fought Ronda Rousey. If you look at it, she comes in like blazing, and then somehow she like flipped Ronda, I think onto her head, if I remember correctly. And I was like nervous for a split second, but then the fight was over.
Yeah, I mean, I was really looking forward to that Ronda Kat Zingano fight, and I always wanted to see it again, And then, but you look at Kat Zingano, go all the way back to 2012. She's fought 1 time per year, and I mean, she's 35 now, and like I said, like a lot of her game is just like pure thunderous athleticism, and I don't know, does she still have that at 35? Maybe. Is it enough to beat Ketlin Vieira? I think even a shop-worn Kat Zingano is still enough to beat Ketlin Vieira. I mean, she gave away the first round to Sarah McMahon. She was not for a girl who's supposed to be a prospect in jiu-jitsu. She just was not active enough off her back for me. Kat Zingano is not going to get caught in dopey triangles or she's not going to get arm triangle from wrong side half guard. Like Sarah McMahon just has this incredible ability to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory and just absolutely panic in transition. And Kat Zingano doesn't have that. She's a great grappler, even though they like to call her a striker. And I mean, I just think she's got enough. She's got enough left in the tank to beat Ketlin Vieira. I think so, even if she's 75% there. But what is going to be interesting is to see what Kat Zingano looks after that unspirited loss to Juliana Pena, which seems like forever ago, So I am picking Kat Zingano, but I have a lot of questions. And I really hope we see the terror that fought Amanda Nunez, because that 135-pound division needs some life in it.
So Ketlin is actually based on the odds I saw, the favorite to win. Probably based on her record, to be honest with you.
So Ketlin Vieira is minus 150. Kat Zingano comes back at plus 135. I mean, it's hard to trust an inactive fighter who's on a 2-fight losing streak. I think a lot of people aren't super familiar with Kat Zingano anymore. She's just been out of the limelight. And then, of course, you have the mental questions, too. Where is she at? How motivated is she? Is she just showing up, or is this something she's embracing like she was 4 or 5 years ago? So I think that's probably why you're seeing the odds like that. And, everybody loves an undefeated fighter.
It's true.
All right, so 2 picks for Zingano, 1 for Vieira.
Oh, boy,
so that
man.
opens the card. I mean, that's not a terrible pay-per-view opener. It moves the division along. You're testing a prospect against a veteran, so I'm okay with that as a pay-per-view opener. Moving along in the heavyweight division, we have Stefan the Skyscraper Struve versus Andre Arvloski. Back from the dead. Stefan Struve comes in at minus 200, and Arvloski comes back at plus 160. Smith, who are you taking in the battle of the heavyweights?
Dude, this was the hardest one, man. I'm going to have to go with Struve, but I don't know, man. It could go either way. Both these guys are so inconsistent. Like, I'm just thinking Struve's a little bit more well-rounded, so I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, the thing about Struve, and he was on a 3-fight win streak right before that last loss he had against not Tybura, Volkov, I think. Yes, Volkov. The thing about Struve is, like, you look at the guy and you expect that he's developed this incredible rangy kickboxing game, or at least he should be working on it. He's 7 foot tall, and he's got 30 fights under him. He's been in the UFC for 8 years, but he's just never found that range. And any decent fundamental striker has put him away. I mean, you got Roy Nelson did it, Mark Hunt, Alistair Overeem, like anybody with a sensible striking game takes over Stefan Struve. And so you think about, like, well, what is Struve the best at? And it's really his transition grappling, and it seems like he's just never figured out a way to build his game around that. He's not a good wrestler. I mean, what is he going to do? But when he gets on the ground, he finishes with these nice Darce chokes or triangles. He triangled Pat Barry. The problem is he just never gets the fight there, and he loses a striking match. And there's a total possibility that happens with Andre Arvloski too. So I think that's why you're seeing the odds tighten up a little bit. I think Struve started at like minus 260, and now he's down a little bit closer to minus 180. I'm still picking him here. I think Arvloski is just his chin retired about 8 fights ago, and eventually if he gets touched in a firefight or they do get clinched against the fence and Struve throws a couple of those elbows, he could probably hurt Arvloski, maybe catch Arvloski going for an emergency takedown and then moves into a Darce or something like that. I could see him hunting a submission in transition there, but I think it's a little more likely that he hurts him with an elbow and Arvloski just goes out from there. So I'll take Struve by TKO, but I would be cautious sounding so sure about it. Branscombe.
I think they're both going to run out to the middle of the ring, and their chins are going to touch to each other, and both of them are going to end up laid out on the middle of the mat, right on the Modella emblem. I'm going to have to go with Arvloski on this one. Like you said, I think Struve has serious problems with technical strikers. His big losses came to those who sent straight punches down the pipe, were able to close the distance on him. He's never been good at keeping the distance. I just think Arvloski's the better athlete, and I think he's going to come away with the win in this one.
Maybe it's just like really tall people are just awkward in how they look fighting. Like Tim Sylvia, remember him? Dude, he looks so bad.
He also had some other issues with his. I think he was severely pigeon-toed. Didn't his knees like bow in really badly? That was the other reason he looked so awkward.
Stance, like his arms, how he held them up, like he just, I don't know. That's how I think of like big guys.
If
He
I'm
was the
remembering
wacky,
correctly,
wild, and playable tube man.
didn't Struve just get over some serious heart issues like
Yes,
2 years
but
ago?
that was
I mean,
about 2 years ago. Yeah.
like
What kind of
they
heart
were
issues?
thinking he
Like
wasn't.
fluid around the heart type thing, or
No, I think he had a
Did he have like a murmur or something?
yeah, it was beaten out of whack.
Yeah. Not quite Dan Hardy status, but it
Yeah.
was. It had him out for a while, but then
And
he went on that
it pulled him out of a fight too, if I'm
Yes.
remembering.
Well, that was when he had like a panic attack or something, and they wouldn't let him fight, something crazy like that. But
Yeah.
he did go on that 3-fight win streak, and I was kind of sitting around hoping, like, finally get Struve up there. I wanted to see him in contention, like, forever. Like, I just want to see him go on a 5-fight win streak, make huge improvements, and then we're like talking about the new Stefan Struve in the title picture, but it's just never happened, and I've been waiting for it to happen for 8 years. So
you know what? He's got a win over the current champion.
I know, and it's like,
Well, I think that beat him, right? DeSanjos and Struve. Wow.
yeah. Struve like TKO'd him in a weird flurry. It was kind of strange to watch, to be honest. But okay, so that is 2 picks for Struve, 1 for Arvloski. That one could really go either way. Third fight on the pay-per-view is in the bantamweight division. Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Andre the Asian Sensation Soukhamthath. Now, Sean O'Malley, remember, comes from Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender show. He was really what people would call, I'd say, the best find on that show. He's undefeated, super young. He's 23. Andre Soukhamthath, he's coming off a knockout win over Luke Sanders. Previously, before that, he lost 2 split decisions. One that he probably deserved the win. One I think he did lose. I guess I'll start on this one. I don't really think this is a pay-per-view quality fight, but man, it is fun to watch Sean O'Malley fight. It is super fun. It's like the way he fights in the UFC, and he's only had 1 fight. I mean, if you want to count the Dana White Contender show, then I guess you could say he's had 2. But it's almost like nobody told him yet that, like, dude, you're not on the regional circuit anymore. You can't just throw everything all the time. Like, you will get tired against durable, fundamentally sound opponents. It's like nobody told him that yet. So he goes out there and just throws everything, man. He's like spinning back fists into heel kicks. He's like throwing combinations all the time. A lot of times you watch like tepid kickboxer fighters and you're kind of sitting there on the edge of your seat just waiting for them to throw something, right? And you're kind of screaming at the TV like, just do something. You never feel like that with Sean O'Malley. He is always doing something. And of course, in his last fight, the first time he went to decision, you start to see him tire a little bit in the second round. You know, what do you know? You can't just throw everything all the time in the UFC. People are better than that. People aren't going to go down as easily. People are going to wait for you to get tired. They're going to apply more pressure. I thought he was going to lose that fight once it went to round 3. It was 1-1. That was against Terrion Ware, but he came back and had a second win and, man, just blew the doors off him in the third round. What Sean O'Malley does well, he's a striker first. He actually cuts really good angles and has a really great sense of distance. Like he'll dodge a shot, move off the angle, and leave the pocket with a left hook, and then be gone. And problem is he makes a couple of mistakes too. He keeps his hands really low the whole time and just relies on pure head movement that can get you caught a lot. He relies on the fact that he has a longer reach than most of the bantamweights he fights. He's generally moving back and evading strikes by moving his head back, which keeps his chin up. And the second he fights somebody with a similar reach, that's going to be problems. Andre Soukhamthath, he's a fundamental striker with a much lower volume than Sean O'Malley is. This is actually a tough fight to pick for me, but you know, I'm gonna go with Sean O'Malley just because he throws so much volume, and I don't think Soukhamthath is gonna get the finish. So I think O'Malley can steal 2 rounds from him. Soukhamthath just doesn't do enough. But this is going to be a really good test for O'Malley. Soukhamthath is not some washed-up guy. I think this is actually a little too high of a step up. I'd like to see him kind of groom O'Malley a little bit more. I'm also trusting that O'Malley learned from the last fight where he got tired in the second round. So for those reasons, I'll still pick O'Malley, but this is going to be a great learning experience for him, win or lose.
I
What do you think, Smith?
Yeah, I'd have to go with O'Malley on this one too. I see this fight is definitely going to stand up, but this will be hard for him. But I do like his fighting style, so that's why I'm kind of rooting for him here. So I hope he gets the win.
If nothing else, he's fun as hell to watch.
That's true. And sometimes you need that in the UFC. You know what I mean? Just fun fighters.
You do. To break up the pay-per-view card that Branscombe is pouting about.
I'm pouting that y'all enjoy O'Malley so much now. Because I remember watching his last fight and thinking, this guy is just all over the place. I didn't feel like it was, crisp, clean striking. I didn't feel like he had a very solid game plan going into it.
I did not say it was crisp.
Yeah.
I just said he has good angles and a sense of distance.
You can't say somebody has good angles because they're throwing punches from out of position. That's not good angles. It's just being in the wrong spot and still throwing a punch.
No, he does have a fundamental understanding of footwork and angles. The problem is his defensive striking is so poor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do remember being very surprised that he was able to come out and pull that third round out. I remember him being way down in that second round.
Mm-hmm.
You are right. His fighting style definitely hits a wall at some point. Like, you might be able to overwhelm amateur fighters, but when you get to the high caliber fighter, this ain't gonna fucking fly.
Right. You can't just do everything that overwhelmed everyone on the regional circuit, and that's where you see a lot of prospects struggle. So. I mean, Sean O'Malley definitely learned from his last fight, so I wonder if we'll see like a lower output from him here.
Dude,
I mean, you got to think.
They start to learn when they get knocked out once. They start to learn. They need to start working on.
Having said all that, I'm still gonna pick Sean O'Malley on this one. He's out of the MMA lab. I'm sure they're working very, very hard down there, getting everything better put into some sort of box that's gonna work, in the UFC. So I'm gonna pick him.
All right, he's actually the underdog for this fight.
It was like a pick-em underdog, wasn't it? Like one.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so he's plus 110 on the book I'm looking at. Soukhamthath comes back at minus 140. Probably Vegas odds are thinking that Soukhamthath is going to be a little too much, and I agree that. I don't like this as the next step. Like Soukhamthath and Terrion Ware are two very different fighters. But this will be a good experience for Sean O'Malley, win or lose, so I'm fine with it. Okay, that brings us to the Cone main event. This is what I'm really here for. Frankie Edgar, Brian Ortega. Yeah, I wish this was 5 rounds. That's the only negative thing I have to say about this fight. I really wish it was 5 rounds, but at the same time, I'm not sure if Ortega was in that kind of shape when he got the phone call. So, Smith, why don't you open this up?
I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be an awesome fight. And I'm going to pick Ortega on this one, man. I kind of like this guy's fighting style, so that's why I'm picking him.
So what do you think Edgar is going to keep it on the feet, or is he going to wrestle?
I think he's going to wrestle. I hope he would versus Ortega.
I mean, even though Ortega is a well-versed black belt, that's what his strength is.
Yeah, but dude, if you ever look at Edgar, man, like, he does well at controlling people. Like, he's got a decent wrestling background too. So, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Edgar is a black belt, or at least he technically is, whether he has it or not.
I don't know, man. When you watch Ortega fight, I just feel like Frankie Edgar would do better actually trying to wrestle and take this to the ground, to be honest with you, and have a control like in a top game. But if he's not on top, yeah, this is probably not going to go well for him. That's how I see it.
All right, Branscombe, your favorite blue-collar wrestler, Frankie Edgar, is fighting. What are you thinking?
I don't think it's going to be. I think we're going to see a repeat of the last time they brought up a young buck. And,
Rodriguez.
I think we're going to see, that there are levels to this, and Frankie's going to have superior striking. I think he's going to have superior takedowns. He's never been submitted in his entire MMA career. I think, Ortega took this on short notice. What was it, 4 weeks? Didn't have a full camp. These things are adding up to me to be, I think it's good for him to get out there. He's going to, get a better name if he does any kind of good showing for himself. It's a, win-win situation for Brian Ortega. I think, but I still think we see Frankie tuning him up all over this mat.
So you think it's going to stand up? They're going to stay standing?
I think that, Ortega might even be, trying to instigate some more grappling. Because I think Frankie.
Do you think Edgar will go for real takedowns? Like there's.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
you think so?
He's going to shoot it.
Does he even want to risk? Does he even want to risk staying on top of Ortega?
He's got good control on top. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And Ortega
just because
has
he's really good at like submissions,
long stand-up style. He's going to be standing straight up. Kind of inviting him in. I think, he does. I mean, he did catch Cub Swanson, who is a legit black belt, in that guillotine.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you watch that Cub Swanson's actually a really good fighter. So that's why I'm like, man, Ortega's kind of got some skills here. So
yeah, we saw Cub Swanson against Frankie Edgar too. Yeah,
I'd like to forget that fight. That was brutal.
Yeah.
So there's two things I want to talk about this fight. This fight is so fun to pick apart. Like this is what I love about analyzing fights like this, is because before you do the research and think it over and watch the tape, you have your instinctual pick. You have your intuition. When the fight gets announced, you immediately have a winner in your head, whether you really know anything or not. And I would say most people, as soon as this fight got announced, boom, Frankie Edgar, right? I mean, it's got to be.
I thought Ortega. The only reason I thought that is because he's finished his last 5 fights, dude. He has finished his last 5.
So, two things I think that are interesting is there's kind of 2 fighters of Frankie Edgar. There's like that in and out boxer that beat BJ Penn and fought against Henderson, Gray Maynard, and the guy that just racks up points with his sharp boxing technique. He's in and out. He's not there to be hit. Quick leg kicks, and then what I would call like opportunistic takedowns, kind of just takedowns to score a point, but then he's basically up. He's not really looking to grapple there. Then there's the recent iteration of Frankie Edgar, who's just turned into this brutal ground and pound top game grappler. I mean, what he did to Cub Swanson, Yair Rodriguez, that's just a different game that he's found more success in. And it's interesting to see that because he was so successful with his boxing game. He could get caught and he could get hurt. So I think he's actually developed into a more consistent top game grappler. And that's what makes this interesting to me, because that's not the safest route for him to pick in this fight, in my opinion. It's to strike with Ortega. Ortega, he doesn't have like the sweetest, maybe the sweetest jiu-jitsu game, not like a Damian Maia or something like that, but he has such an opportunistic offensive grappling game. It's so fun to watch. Like when this guy gets finishes, he submits everyone, and it's incredible. And he submits him on the first attempt. It's insane. I mean, he was losing that. We'll talk about this, I'm sure, too. He was losing most of the rounds in his fights that he won. I mean, he was losing the Clay Guida fight, which he won by the knee, not the submission. He was losing the Diego Brandao fight, which he was in a Darce. He rolled through that, had him in an omoplata, switched to a triangle, and instant tapped Diego Brandao in a triangle. And you know how hard it is to insta-tap somebody in a triangle. Mm-hmm. And, of course, that's Ortega's best submission. But it really seems like this guy is good at every submission, like just a great finisher. Like maybe you put him in ADCC and he's going to lose on points, but in MMA, he finishes, and you see what he did with Cub Swanson. All he had to do was touch him into a Darce, and Cub freaked out, and then he jumped on a guillotine, and that was it. And he even had to readjust that guillotine. He took his other arm all the way out while Cub was standing up, and he still got it. I mean, these are impressive things he's doing. And I've also heard a lot of people in thinking about this fight, they've looked at the other impressive grapplers that Frankie Edgar has fought. So who's the best jiu-jitsu artist that Frankie Edgar's fought?
It might be Aldo.
I would say BJ Penn.
Oh, duh. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
How
for
long
sure.
ago was
But-
that, though?
Yes, but here, whatever. My
But
point is
it turned both of them turned into a boxing match, though.
right,
I mean,
right. So that's irrelevant.
And BJ
besides
was
the
in
third
love
one,
with
which
his-
wasn't even a
yeah.
real fight. But
Yeah.
so my point is that comparison is not fair and not accurate because maybe BJ Penn has better fundamental grappling than Ortega, but they have entirely different games. Penn never ever fought off his back, never uses submissions for his back. He was always a sweep or get to the back type of guy. You never saw him throw up triangles. You never really saw him elbow from his back. He was just always trying to get back to his feet or get to a better position. Ortega will fuck you up from the bottom. He will, like, who was the guy? Oh, Thiago Tavares, where he just opened his face up from the bottom.
Penn liked the brawl too, man. Like that's how he set up some stuff. So like he definitely liked the brawl. People think of him
Right.
as like a really great submission artist,
I'm
but
talking about pure grappling. I'm just talking about pure grappling. You
Okay.
can't compare their jiu-jitsu games because people are like, oh, look what Frankie Edgar did to BJ Penn, so he's obviously going to beat Ortega. And it's like, that is not proper.
But I still think, to be honest with you, Edgar has such a good wrestling background and he's got a good top game that I don't think he has to worry about too much Ortega on the bottom. Yes, Ortega's amazing, but I think he's got really good control there, man.
So I agree, but I think he's got to worry. And that's why this
everybody's
fight is
got to
so-
worry a little bit, you know.
I think the way that Ortega fights off his back is incredible. I mean, he is always doing damage. Like, you are not safe in his guard. Edgar better pass the half guard immediately if he wants to be safe on top. So that's what I'm going to be looking for this fight. That being said, I think this is just a little bit too soon for Brian Ortega, and I don't like the fact that it's on short notice. So I think Frankie Edgar has two different avenues to win. I think we might see him take the safe route and just box his way to a decision. I think it doesn't even have to touch the ground, and Frankie Edgar could win a clear decision if he wants. If it does go to the ground, which I'm praying it does because I want to see those exchanges so bad.
Well, I tell
that's
you
where
what,
Ortega's
this fight
gonna
would
have
be way more exciting if it was 5 rounds because once they get tired, that's when people make mistakes, and that's when Ortega could definitely optimize on things. So
Yeah, and that's why he's a third round finisher too. I mean,
The problem is though, once Edgar gets on you, I mean, you
I
know,
will
you
admit
can-
he's amazing.
You can't go to that well, but so many times you can't expect to, you know, at that level, think that I'm just going to give away the first 2, 3, 4 rounds and then pull off a submission at the end. You got a beast like Frankie who's going to be in your face the entire time, not slowed down one bit. If he gets on top of you, he's going to be landing some strikes. Y'all might pop back up. If you're on your feet, he's in and out in your face the entire time. You can't tell me that at the end of the third round that you're going to be able to pull that tight guillotine or that
on a slippery Frankie Edgar. Yeah.
right.
No,
right.
and I don't think he will. I'm citing his success and I'm citing his accomplishments off his back in MMA, and you're starting to see that you can't just sit and guard anymore. Really, I mean, even in the Bisping GSP fight, Bisping was tearing him up from his back. Like, you just can't sit and guard and be inactive, and that's not really what Frankie Edgar does. He passes and gets on top and just brutalizes you. But I mean, Yair Rodriguez does not have the grappling that Brian Ortega has, not even close. He won't look like a fish out of water there. He might get beat up. He might get hurt. He might lose. But damn, is it going to be fun to watch? And I want to watch him try from his back. If it stays on the feet, then I think it's Frankie Edgar all day. He might even employ that, I'll go for a takedown sort of for points, but let him back up. I think we might see something like that. Like I said, this is just a little too soon for Ortega here, and I don't like the short notice. But you know what? No matter what happens, kind of like you said, Branscombe, if he has a good showing, I think win or lose, this is good for Ortega's development. This gives him a little bit more time until he gets to the title. I didn't really like the fact that he was going to wait and fight Max Holloway next, or the winner of such. So I hope they give him somebody else if he loses his fight to build him back up, because he's still developing. He's still young. He's still getting better every fight. So I think win or lose, this is going to be good for him. But I am picking Frankie Edgar by decision.
I'm going 1-4 again on this card, man.
Real quick, let's get to the odds on this fight. Frankie Edgar is minus 190 with Brian Ortega coming back at plus 150.
Wow.
How do you feel about that? You too close?
I think so. You know, Ortega is coming off of that big win. Cub Swanson is a big win. He is a legit OG fighter, you know.
Love Cub Swanson.
But other than that, I mean, Diego Brando, you know, not a whole lot of meat down in those other 11 wins. Mm-hmm. And Frankie, I mean, he's chomping at the bit. What was this injury that he had? Because he pulled out of the first Holloway fight.
Oh, didn't he? It was something where he absolutely couldn't fight. What was that?
I want to say it wasn't like a shoulder or something. Was it like a sickness?
Yeah, it was something. I don't remember. I don't think that's.
I'm just trying to think why. I wonder if it. What did the odds open on this fight? Did they open up with Edgar way more ahead, and then betting has brought it closer?
Let me ask
you
this.
They opened at minus 155 for Edgar, and they widened to minus 1. Or what did I say they were? Okay, they got as high as 190. Okay, that's what they are now. Yeah, sorry. So they opened at minus 155 for Edgar and moved up to minus 190. So I guess more people thought what you and I think, started putting money on Edgar.
I got you.
So there is probably a reason why they couldn't do an interim belt. Isn't technically Jose Aldo in front of them in the rankings?
No, because he lost. But
yeah, but he lost to Holloway. So
rankings don't fucking matter though. They're made up by journalists that mean nothing.
They put him on the UFC website too, dude. So I guess UFC fucking cares about him.
All right, well, that's 2 picks for Edgar, 1 for Ortega. I'm so excited for that fight. A little sad that it's 3 rounds, but that's okay with me. Moving along to the main event. Cyborg versus Kunitskaya for the women's 145-pound featherweight belt. Cyborg, of course, storied career all throughout the world, Japan, America. She came from Strikeforce, where she beat and retired Gina Carano to capture the belt. Moved on to Invicta, captured their belt, and was kind of dangling the carrot in the UFC. Of course, they didn't have the 145-pound division. She had a bunch of catchweight fights there at 140. There was always that maybe we'll get her down to 135 to fight Ronda. That was always a pipe dream. Of course, that exploded when Holly Holm kicked her head into the stands. But they later made a 145-pound division for Cyborg, which was hilarious because they didn't even have her fight for the inaugural title. They should have just given it to her because she has it now. And she's really never been challenged at all in her career in the last 8 or 10 years. I mean, Holly Holm, I would say, is her most competitive fight and her best win. Before that, I guess you could argue Marlies Kunin, who's retired now. And really, she's never fought true 145-pound women. They're not common. The talent pool is low. And here we are again. She's fighting another bantamweight on short notice. I get it. She's saving the card, but this is just, water's wet, rocks are hard, Cyborg's crushing bantamweights. I guess it wouldn't be fair to offer no analysis and just say Cyborg is going to thrash her, but Kunitskaya, what she does well, she was a striker from Russia. She has a decent ground game against Tanya Evinger. You can watch her go for a lot of heel hooks and transitions and leg locks. Problem is, she's just doesn't quite have the nuances in grappling that allow you to finish those techniques. And against Cyborg, leg locks are just going to get you, a whole punch through your forehead, right through the mat. So I don't think this is going to be on the ground unless Cyborg wants it there, or unless Kunitskaya is getting knocked silly on the fence and falls there.
On top of her Muay Thai,
2,000.
Yeah. On top of her Muay Thai, she's also a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I've never seen her look really out of position in any kind of grappling sense, except for maybe way back in the Gina Carano. I think she
pulled Gina Carano into mount. Remember that?
Yeah. Other than that, like you said, I mean, I've never watched an Invictus show, so I can tell you how good Joanna Kunitskaya is.
They're actually really fun to watch.
I just haven't seen one.
They're very well produced, and they're free on Fight Pass.
Yeah, and I'm hoping she makes a show of it, makes it out of the first round. You know, I haven't really seen Cyborg look any kind of vulnerable in her last couple of fights. God, she looked very good against Holly Holm.
Excellent.
Way better than I thought she was going to. I think I picked Holly Holm in that fight.
Oh, you both did. I remember that. I don't know what you guys were smoking.
Wow.
I just thought Holly was going to out technical her, but you know, because a lot of times you'll see Cyborg winging those Vanderlei Silva style wild punches from the outside, and she gets away with it because, you know, when she touches another woman upside the head, you know, it normally, you know, brings out a shell. Yeah, it gets somebody up in a shell, and it's very close to the end of the fight after one good touch. But yeah, I think I see more of the same. You know, I'm calling Cyborg by second round knockout.
So, I mean, anytime. All right, go ahead, Smith.
I found one good thing about this whole fight, dude. Ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me.
All right. So, the UFC fight, the UFC website, okay, doesn't have a picture for you, Yana, okay? Doesn't have her reach or her leg reach. But they were able to put in here that she has determination. Okay? I just want to put that out there. All right?
Is that it? That's all they wrote for her?
She's got determination. That's all she needs, man. That's it. That's all she needs for Cyborg.
So her profile is blank except for the word determination.
Bro, she's got determination. Let me double check. Let me make sure I got the facts here. Determination. That's what it says. Summary. All right?
My God, what type of intern is running that garbage?
Wait, actually, whoa, they got a picture now. They just don't have the full body picture.
Yeah, they don't have the full body picture, but they do. But determination. Oh. Wonder what metric you use to determine determination. Like,
those are trademarked secrets.
Does she have 7 determinations, or is she just at a 6 determination?
Do you think like they have the fighters fill this out and she put determination for herself? Like that would be amazing.
I hope not. I think they have some idiot just do this. I really do.
So that was probably the most interesting thing I found about this whole fight. Is she's got determination. What do you guys think?
It might be enough to pull her. It might be enough to pull her through.
Okay.
So I mean, there's a reason that these odds are so far apart. These type of minus 2,000 odds you only see when there's almost no chance. And in this case, there really is almost no chance. I mean, Kunitskaya lost to Tanya Evinger, who got brutalized by Cyborg. I don't really like to use MMA math, but there's just nothing that Kunitskaya has to offer Cyborg, and this is not like the Thug Rose Joanna time where she just hits hard and is aggressive in the beginning. She doesn't hit hard. Cyborg has not shown a propensity to have a weak chin, and she has taken some shots from Holly Holm. There's just I feel very confident in saying that there is a 99% chance that Cyborg wins here.
Does it see the second round?
Wouldn't you agree though?
I don't even think it sees the second round. There's no point in her letting it go like that.
Where's this fight at? Where's this one at? Is it in Vegas?
Is it in Vegas?
It is Vegas. Yep.
Yep, T-Mobile Arena. Why?
I was just wondering. It's close to Cyborg. I guess it's close to. I found it weird that she would take this fight on short notice. She normally will not do that, and for her to do that, she must think she really has a gimme fight here.
Well, also they probably paid her something nice to do that.
Yeah.
But I agree. She's Floyd Mayweather levels of sureness that she's going to win.
Right.
Okay, so once again, odds for the updated odds. Let me just read the widest one I can find because this is kind of like comically large at this point. Minus 2,023.
Wow.
And Kunitskaya is plus 1,053.
Have we ever got odds? I think Cyborg's gotten crazy odds before, but has it been that big? I don't know.
Well, let's check it out real quick. Cyborg, Holly Holm. Cyborg opened up at -400. Cyborg, Tanya Evinger. Cyborg got up to -1,500. The last time she was this high was -2,000 against Leslie Smith. Oh, wait. But before that, at an Invicta fight where they just found some totally random girl for her to fight, Daria Ibragimov, Cyborg got up to -3,000.
Damn.
And before that, they found some other rando bantamweight for her to fight, and she got up to -3,500.
Oh my
Nice.
god.
Dude, these are like 2003 Fedor odds. Anyways, I digress. Let's move along. That wraps up the main card. I want to get to some listener mail and then some rumors.
Oh,
So Felipe from San Francisco writes in, how good is Frankie Edgar's BJJ? I know that his wrestling and work rate are top notch. And how well does Ortega defend the takedown, and how well does he work off his back? So we addressed this a little bit. Ortega works very well off his back offensively with elbows. We've seen him catch triangles in transitions, and then guillotines off takedowns, and then Darce chokes in transitions.
Dude, Edgar's been around
Branscombe,
since
do you want to
2007.
talk about Edgar's top game grappling a little bit from the perspective of a wrestler?
I mean, he has perfect control. And you got to remember the whole first half of his, actually first 3/4 of his career, he was fighting 2 weight classes above what he is now. He was the 155-pound champ.
Well, this is 145, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I was thinking 135.
I mean, he said
he could make it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He could make it. And then I was just now looking it up, but I'm pretty sure he's out of Almeida's camp.
Yes, he's a black belt under Almeida, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, and out of Ricardo Almeida, Renzo
Right.
Gracie, black belt. I mean, if they're not giving those out just because he's a good top control wrestler. They're giving those because he can stop submissions, and he can give, can put them on as well. He's, and not to mention he's one of those offensive on his feet wrestlers as well. He hits some huge takedowns, and those
some of the best knee taps I've ever seen.
Yeah, knee taps, and also will pick you up and carry you around the ring no matter what size you are. I doubt he's going to pull something like that with this guy, with him being.
No, I think Ortega would wrap his neck up if he did that.
But hitting those knee taps, those are good, safe takedowns. So I think
Edgar's been around for 11 years now, man. He's been a champ. He obviously he knows what to expect from fighters, especially highly skilled submission fighters. So I don't see that being really a problem.
The only other thing I want to talk about Edgar, eventually he's gonna get old, right?
Mhm.
And anybody can get caught. Let's put that up.
When are we gonna see the wheels fall off with Frankie Edgar? Isn't he 37 now?
Let's see here.
Here, I have it right here. Hold on. He's 36. Okay. But, man, he just doesn't even seem like he's slowing down. And part of that I attribute to his game plan has sort of turned into more of a top game grappling base. But, yeah, he's only 36. Okay. I'm not worried about it yet. But it's crazy that he's just still this good. It's been so long. Anyways, okay. Moving on to the rumors. So this isn't quite a rumor, but this happened last night, yesterday, and we got to talk about it because it's hilarious. John Jones had his hearing with the Athletic Commission for his failed drug tests, which turned the UFC 214 win over Daniel Cormier into a no contest. He tested positive for, God, I can't remember what it's called. Some not well-known steroid, something with a T.
No, it's a well-known steroid. It's just an old,
right?
It's an old school style steroid. We're not on the clear or anything. We're talking about back in the day, gold gym style. Yeah.
Short half-life so that it leaves your body quick or some shit.
No, long.
Long?
That was the whole thing about it. Was this steroid is one of those ones that will stay in your system for a good long time. No one would take it at that close to a fight, knowing that they were going to be drug tested. That was the whole kind of.
That's why it was fishy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it was fishy, because he didn't test positive on any of his samples leading up to the one of the night, and then that's the one of the night. So, and then what they were saying is, if nobody would knowingly, or that kind of the excuse was, nobody would knowingly take this steroid knowing that it's going to be in your system. It's not going to. And why would you be taking it long time before?
That was essentially their entire defense. Now
that, and he swore to God. I mean, he swore to God.
Well, didn't he take the lie detector test too? And he passed?
Yeah, right. He did talk about that. But let me just read the verdict real quick so we can discuss that. So the CSAC has revoked his license and fined him $205,000. He will be eligible to reapply for a new license in August, but he still has the USADA hearing, which may levy other penalties on John Jones, and that doesn't have a date yet. So essentially what the CSAC did, instead of give him like a 2 or 3 year suspension, they just said, you know what? Fuck it. We're just taking your license away, and we're not going to suspend you at all. But if you want to get your license back, you have to come back here and show us essentially improvement. So like it's not going to just be, I go apply for another license. Like he's going to have this hearing again. And really what they said is just like, as for your suspension, whatever USADA wants to give you, that's what we're down with. So either USADA is going to come out and just issue him a 2 to 4 year suspension, or it could be less, could be 18 months. Or they'll have their own hearing and we'll get a whole nother circus, which will be live streamed and live chatted and all of its hilarity. But more than likely, they'll probably just dish him out a sentence. So I guess what do you think about this verdict? Too light, too heavy? What do you think he's going to get from USADA? And if you did listen to the hearing, which was absolutely ridiculous, just incredible amounts of ineptitude from John Jones' side, from his lawyer, from his mouth. He admitted to not even taking the USADA tutorial that's required of all UFC fighters, which they have to read through the rules and essentially sign a document that says, yes, I get it. He basically said that, no, my management did that for me. And they were like, well, so did you sign it? And he's like, no, they forged my signature. Like straight up, he just said that. Just said that in the hearing because that's a good idea. And I mean,
it might actually come down to he just has really poor judgment in the people that he has around him.
Yeah,
and who you have around you defines you as a person, and that's really. And then they even asked him like, "Why you ever thought about changing your management?" And he looks back at the guy behind him. And he's like, "Yeah, a couple times." Like, bro, like,
but he was
obviously
joking.
They're fucking you over. Get rid of him. Start fresh and just, you know what I mean? But whatever. He's gonna do what he's gonna do.
They're gonna give him the lightest sentence they possibly can, and he's gonna come back and he's gonna, quote some Bible scriptures in front of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and then they're gonna say, "Okay, we're back on." Because guess what? He's the best fucking fighter that there ever has been. I mean, that's what he does. He's a wild man. This is what wild men do.
That's the saddest part of it. That's the saddest part of it for me.
But you start
I just want to see him in there.
Legacy, though. You really do. And he brought that up at the conference.
Who gets the $200,000 or $250,000 that he just got fined?
Athletic Commission, baby.
That's right. Not the guy that got the fucking shin upside his head and got knocked, silly and had to deal with the headaches for the last 3 months. That's the thing that pisses me off of it.
Can we talk about this real quick though? Like, don't you think that steroids is probably the most dangerous thing for another fighter to come up against? Like, you're actually literally giving yourself an unfair advantage, and you could permanently cause damage to another person by giving yourself that advantage.
Yeah, that's the only reason anybody has a problem with it in mixed martial arts. I don't give a shit if you drug yourself up and go.
I don't care about Lance Armstrong at all.
Yeah, ride on a bicycle or anything like that.
I don't care about you hitting home runs.
Yeah, but if you're out there actually putting hands on somebody where you can do some serious harm.
That's the fucked up thing about it, dude.
Not to say that I wouldn't do this shit if I was in the cage.
Can we talk
that's
about
why
this real
everybody
quick?
has a problem with it.
Yeah.
Do you think that he actually didn't know he was taking steroids? And if so, then that means somebody that's close around him fucked him over.
I think he knew. I don't trust anything John Jones says. I don't trust that he has any self-awareness at all. And like you said, I don't think he puts the right people around him, or they kind of just there for a money grab. I'm sure some people care about him, but he really does seem like he just doesn't get it, man. Like he is just the real John Jones, just like it's a mental thing, like a narcissistic thing. Like he just does not understand like how to empathize with others or how to see what he is doing is wrong. Like he really doesn't get it.
So check this out.
Yeah.
They asked Cormier what they thought about John Jones taking the polygraph, and he said, "Well, Ted Bundy passed his polygraph." I thought that was the funniest shit ever, dude.
Speaking of another funny thing, Daniel Cormier said, I don't know if y'all heard it this weekend, but when he was like, listen, Latifi is in the ring going at him saying, I want you next, blah, blah, blah. And John Anik says, I'll let, Cormier get back to that. But right now, I just have a few more questions. And so they cut it back to Cormier in the audience or in the broadcast booth. And he's talking from, and he's like, I just want to say right now, this is Latifi's moment. Let's make it about him. He did a great job tonight. And then he goes, I can't help myself. They must really like giving me money if they put this guy in the ring with me right now. They must really want me to just have free money because that's what that is. It's just free money.
So I totally missed that because I missed the broadcast.
We get it because you were there. You were there and you didn't get to hear it. Yeah, right. I know.
Well, what's funny is we were there and my girlfriend's like, why can't I hear the broadcast? And I'm like, you don't get to hear the broadcast when you're live. And she's like, oh, that's weird. And I'm like, yeah, you're just in the fucking moment. You just let it happen.
The hard part's looking up at you don't know whether or not you want to watch the ring or what's going on above it,
I say pretty much only when they're grappling against the fence do I watch the Jumbotron, but yeah. The only other what?
Did you have good seats?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a huge fight card. It was okay. I mean, it was entertaining, ton of finishes.
Sometimes
those
are the best because all the seats can be like a lot closer where you get to pick from. Like
dude,
some of those big events, you could be sitting far, man.
There were so many finishes, and since it was a Fox card, it started at 8. Dude, it ended at 10 o'clock. Like, holy shit.
You want to know something sad, though? I still fell asleep in the main event. Right as they were walking out, that's when I passed out. Had to get up, look up on Reddit, and see what happened in the last fight. And I enjoyed every fight on the card too. You know, even on the prelims.
That was a fun card. Okay, the only other moving along. Anything else to say about John Jones?
No.
He's gonna always fuck up, dude. That's all I gotta say.
Maybe we'll see him in 2 years. Maybe we'll see him in 18 months. Who knows? But okay, moving on to the only other really interesting, or call it what you want, rumor. This relates to 222. So Conor McGregor came out about a week ago and said that he actually offered to step in and fight Frankie Edgar and save UFC 222. He's put this out on his Instagram, and he said that the UFC replied, or essentially told him they don't have enough time to promote that fight. Basically, like they're gonna lose money on what a potential Conor Edgar fight could be, if that makes sense. Like, oh, we only have a month to like get out our Conor magic carpets, and we want to be able to reel in everything. So we want to be able to promote a Conor McGregor fight for months and months and months. So they said no. Obviously, a lot of people came out and said, this is fucking bullshit. Frankie Edgar came out and said, I never got that offer. Frankie Edgar's manager came out and said, we never got that offer. And then it comes out later, I think Ariel Helwani reported this, that McGregor's offer to the UFC was make it for the new 165-pound division and we'll fight for a belt, which I think is ridiculous. But have you heard this? What do you think? Do you think that Conor McGregor did throw his name in the hat, or do you think that it's all bullshit? What do you make of this?
I think he definitely probably threw his name in the hat because, I mean, this would be a good fight for him. He's fighting somebody who's, potentially 20 pounds lighter than him right now. I think Frankie probably walks around at 150. He's thinking he could lay that stick in if he gets it. From what I read, I understood it not so much as them not being able to have enough time to promote it, but it was like how much he was asking to get paid.
That could be a factor as well.
Towards how much they thought that they were going to be able to get it out there to make that money back, which I can kind of understand that. But then I also heard that, he wanted to do it at 165. Well, guess what? There is no 165 division. We can't just make this up. Not to mention that our current, weight class that would be right above that is 170. And, we're between 15 and 20 pounds on most things, But it's a smart move by Conor. It's throw your name out there. If they do pick it up, and he does get to make some money. It's an advantageous situation to be in. This would be one of those fighters you would think he would have some range over and maybe, a good chance of winning the fight. Frankie's a big name because guess what? On his comeback, whoever wins out of this Nurmi versus what's his name? Ferguson. That's a tough out for
fight.
him.
Tough fight. Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think he was like, yeah, I'll do it, but it's got to be this and it's got to be that and it's got to be this. But he, of course, then he's only going to say, I put it out there, and they said no.
Yeah.
Smart moves. That's smart. Yeah.
I think he probably did offer something, but something that maybe he also knew wasn't going to be accepted unless it was a ridiculous benefit to him.
Yeah,
he's a businessman.
I will fight him, but if I win, I'm the new emperor of the UFC. You'll have to crown.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll fight him, but you have to give me that planet over there and name it after me.
Yeah, and they didn't go for it. I went to him. What are you going to say? These guys just don't want to see good fights.
Hey, what do you say? What do you think, Smith? Do you buying that McGregor actually did offer something, or do you think it's bullshit?
No, he probably did. I don't see why he would come out if he didn't. You know what I mean?
That would be fun.
That would be weird.
That'd be hilarious. Yeah, I offered it to him. No, you did. Yeah, dude. Prove it.
Well, see,
prove I didn't call you on the phone.
Frankie Edgar said that they never got the offer, but I think that's because the way I interpreted it was it never made it past the UFC. The UFC never took it to Edgar.
It's kind of weird though. Like you would think, I don't know, man. Do you really think that McGregor would want to? Maybe he thinks it's an easy fight for him. Because, why would you, out of everybody, I think Edgar's a great fighter and stuff, but McGregor wants to do super fights where he can make a lot of money and then go away for a little bit. You know what I mean? And then come back, make a lot of money. And that might not be Edgar. Like, GSP and fucking McGregor would be an amazing fight, no matter what happens. And he could always say, oh, GSP's a lot bigger than me, da-da-da-da. He could always have an excuse, and it would work. And McGregor come back and then fight somebody else. So
yeah, I hear you. And Edgar's definitely not an easy fight for him, but maybe that's why he wanted to do it at 165, where he would have a weight advantage. That's really all I have for the rumors section. What do you say we wrap this up? Call it a night. This has been Tomorrow's Fights podcast. You can find us on the website at tomorrowsfights.com. Get at us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Fights. We'll be live tweeting for the UFC 222 main card. Podcast is now available on Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, or get the audio download from the website. Send us your questions and comments for UFC 223, which, damn, that is going to be a good one. That's what we're really here for. Ferguson, Nurmagomedov, Thug Rose, Joanna. That's really what I'm looking forward to the most.
I don't even want to do the show the week of that one. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to get hyped. I've had my heart dashed too many times on this one.
You scared that it's not going to happen.
Yes.
Don't say those things. Don't say those things. Wrap them in bubble wrap. Do what
is there odds on whether or not this fight is actually going to happen right now? I'd like to see what those are.
You could probably find those.
Yeah, that's funny.
On some goofy prop website.
Bro, did you mention Joe Lozon and Anthony Pettis?
What about them?
They're on that card too.
No, Pettis, Michael Chiesa are, right? I think that's it.
And then Lozon and someone else, Grutzemacher.
Oh, you mean they're on it fighting different people? Yeah. There's a lot of good.
It's a stacked card, man. It's got
it's
quality
so good.
on there.
That's one of those tier 1 stacked pay-per-views that reminds you of the old days where you were excited for every fight. So, okay, like I said, send us your questions and comments for that. We'll talk about it on the listener mail segment. Other than that, this has been Tomorrow's Fights podcast with the Triple Mats. That's all I got. You guys good?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Peace, everyone.
Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. See you next time.
I don't need you to tell me how fucking good my coffee is, okay? I'm the one who buys it. I know how good it is.